The voice on the radio knew Dylan's name. He'd never called, never texted, never said a word aloud. And yet, as the static cracked and hissed through the old FM dial, it whispered, "Dylan, we've been waiting for you." Dylan Jacobs had been driving long-haul freight for almost 16 years. His rules were simple. Don't speed, don't sleep at sketchy truck stops, and never drive past midnight unless absolutely necessary. No signs. Just endless pine trees and a suffocating fog that swallowed the road whole. But tonight was different. His GPS had rerouted him off Interstate 79, deep into some forgotten stretch of Route 46. No towns. No Bluetooth, no screen. Just knobs and dials and the occasional flicker of static. Worse still, his phone had lost signal 2 hours ago. The only sound in his cab was the rumble of the diesel engine and the low, comforting hum of his old radio, a relic from the 90s. At exactly 12:14 A, that static changed. He hadn't touched the dial, but the station faded out and was replaced by a new one he didn't recognize. Good evening, night drivers. This is WZUR, the pulse of the pines, broadcasting from somewhere nowhere. Stay tuned. The voice was syrupy smooth, deep, male, but strange like it had been filtered through layers of gravel and wind. Dylan leaned forward, confused. There was no WZUR in this part of the country. And then the voice returned. Let's start with the name. Dylan Jacobs. He focused on the lines of the road, trying to rationalize. Dylan nearly jerked the wheel. The radio crackled. Don't worry, Dylan. We see you. You're not alone on the road tonight. Dylan shut the radio off immediately. The silence was sudden, jarring. Maybe it was a prank, some kind of signal hijacking. Pirates or bored techies. He reached for his CB radio, but the channel was dead. Everything felt heavier now, alone, until he wasn't. Like the fog outside had leaked into the cab. The headlights barely cut through it anymore. Then a voice, even without the radio on, the raccoon staring from the pump. Turn it back on, Dylan. We don't like to be ignored. His heart raced. He turned the dial. The station resumed without delay. Don't change the channel. You'll want to hear what happens next. He wanted off Route 46, back to any road that had a real name. Real signs, real people. Much better, the voice purred. Let's play a game, a little story, about a man driving through the woods. The broadcast continued, detailing a driver just like Dylan on the same road. At the same time, passing a gas station with a flickering sign. Dylan's stomach dropped. He had passed that exact gas station 10 minutes ago. The details were perfect. The burned-out S in snacks. This wasn't a coincidence. This was live. A new voice spoke. A woman's voice. Ragged. Familiar. You're getting close now, Dylan, the voice said. No matter what frequency he tried, it returned to the same station. Dylan stomped the gas, pushing the rig harder than he normally would. He passed an exit 22, but there was no ramp. Just a blue sign pointing into the woods. The trees bent unnaturally. The air warped, like heat rising off asphalt. Then the radio cut in again. Different now, multiple voices, overlapping in a whispering chorus. Don't turn. Don't sleep. Don't stop. She's waiting. She's waiting. She's waiting. A memory, sharp and unwanted, surfaced. The phone call he ignored. The long haul he chose over the hospital visit. His mother's broken voice afterward. Dylan turned the dial frantically. WZUR. His headlight dimmed for a second, then returned, showing a figure standing in the middle of the road. And then, Dylan, why didn't you stop for me? His blood froze. It was Anna's voice, his sister. The truck was tilted, partially stuck in the mud. Dead 10 years. He gripped the wheel tighter. You're not real. This is a trick. But the voice continued. You left me, Dylan. You didn't come to the hospital. I died alone. His eyes blurred. I didn't mean to leave her. I didn't know it would end this way. Dylan's throat tightened. No, this isn't. The voice grew distorted, glitching between sobs and screams. You could have saved me. The lights on the dashboard began to flicker. He swerved too hard. The truck crashed through the guardrail, plunging down a shallow embankment. Tires screeched. Metal groaned, then silence. Inside, the radio whispering his voice on loop, overlaying his sister's sobs. And the radio? Still whispering. He came to with a gash on his forehead and blood in his eyes. Outside, the woods were still, silent. The fog hung thick, suffocating the trees. And inside the cab, the radio kept playing. But now, the voice had changed again. It was no longer a stranger's, no longer Anna's. It was his own voice playing back. I'm sorry. The same sentence on loop. Dylan looked down. The radio had no power light. The engine was off. The keys were no longer in the ignition. Still the static kept whispering. And beneath it, the woman's voice returned, soft as a breath. You're part of the broadcast now. Dylan sat in the cab, clutching the wheel like it could anchor him to sanity. His breath fogged the window. Outside, motionless trees, no wind. You're part of the broadcast now. He reached down, unplugged the entire unit from the dashboard. The radio didn't stop. In fact, it grew louder. A sharp crackle broke the loop, and the deep announcer voice returned, clearer than before. Welcome to the static. There are rules here, Dylan. You've already broken one. Dylan blinked hard, whispering to himself. This isn't real. But the voice continued. Rule 1. Never turn off the radio. Rule 2. Never speak her name aloud. Rule 3. If you hear yourself speak, don't answer back. Rule 4. Do not leave your vehicle until instructed. Rule 5. You may only escape if the broadcast ends. Then the voice shifted tones, slightly amused. You've already broken 3. The lights flickered again. Dylan looked up and screamed. Outside the windshield, something moved a shape, tall and angular, dragging itself out of the fog. A flickering silhouette with long, impossibly jointed limbs and a face smeared into static blur. He dove into the back of the cab, trembling, heart thundering. The radio crackled once more. She's close now, Dylan. Don't look out the windows. Don't make a sound. He buried his head between his knees as the thing passed the driver's side window, scraping its fingers along the glass. But it didn't break in. It was listening. The radio's static began to mimic breathing, raspy, gurgled, uneven. Dylan shut his eyes tight. The voice returned. You left her alone. Now she's not letting you go. The air grew colder. Time stopped making sense. At some point, hours, minutes, Dylan awoke again. The windshield was now completely frosted from the inside, frost forming spirals that looked intentional, like sigils. He leaned forward. One word had been carved into the frost from outside. Answer. The radio clicked once. Then a new voice emerged. Not Anna's, not the announcer's. It was a child. A little girl, whispering. They're coming for your voice, Dylan. She feeds on the ones who stop talking. He counted. The station cut to dead air for 7 seconds. Then the voice returned, different this time. No longer distorted. It was his own voice, aged and tired. If you're hearing this, you didn't escape. I didn't either. Static swallowed the rest. In the distance, through a break in the trees, Dylan saw a red blinking light. A tower. The radio crackled. Signs pointed in circles. Trees leaned inward like observers. But he followed the light. There it is, Dylan, the transmitter, the heart of the signal. He started the truck miraculously. It roared to life. Mud flung from the tires as he gunned it toward the blinking beacon. The road twisted in unnatural ways. The radio spoke again. She's waiting at the base. She wants your story. She wants your guilt. She wants your voice. The closer he got, the louder the static screamed. And then, just as he reached the clearing, the truck died. The red light blinked above. The tower loomed before him. Inside, a microphone, a reel-to-reel recorder, and an empty chair facing the static-soaked airwaves. The radio whispered, "Go alone. Bring your memories." Dylan stepped into the clearing. At the base of the rusted tower stood an old radio booth, window shattered, door half open. He sat down. How he buried the guilt beneath highways and diesel fumes for a decade. The radio inside the booth turned itself on. "Tell the story, Dylan," said the voice. "Confess, or be devoured." So he did. He told it all about the night Anna called, about how he didn't go, how he prioritized the job. As he spoke, the static softened. The shadows in the corners of the booth pulled back. But when he finished, silence. Then a soft voicer spoke one last time. "Thank you for listening." A click. The tower stood quiet, like a spine with no signal left to send. For the first time since Route 46, there were no whispers. The red light blinked once, then shut off. And the station was silent. For the first time in hours, Dylan heard nothing. Dylan sat frozen in the booth. The red light was gone. The airwaves were silent. He stepped out into the clearing. The fog was thinning, repeating what he had just said in the broadcast booth, but with small distortions, wrong inflections, twisted regrets. But something gnawed at him, a sensation in his ears, like pressure building, a hum just out of range. He turned back to the truck. The door was open, and the seat was empty. Dylan approached the rig slowly. A shape sat in the cab now, tall, thin, drenched in black fog. 1,000 voices, all his own, overlapping into madness. Its head was tilted toward the radio, and the static was back. He heard his own voice playing again, but not from a recording. It was live. Then the voice stopped, and in its place, "You were supposed to stay. She's not done with you." The figure turned slowly, and where its face should have been, a speaker cone, covered in skin, vibrating with breath. Dylan ran. He didn't care where. He sprinted into the woods, thorns tearing at his clothes. Branches whipped his face. The static was behind him now, growing louder. "You never left. You're still listening. You're still listening." He tripped, crashed into the dirt, gasping. Ahead, through the trees, a road, lit, paved, real. He crawled onto the asphalt. Headlights appeared. A car, a regular sedan. He waved, screamed. The car slowed. A woman stepped out, mid-40s, concerned. "Are you okay?"